Good evening to every one of our participants. We are welcoming you all for this webinar on material testing in engineering applications. And today is the fifth day and the final day for this webinar. And we are inviting Professor Vasu from Breaks India, who is the Vice President and who held so many higher positions. And he will be introduced by one of my colleagues. And let us now start the program.
Good evening to all participants and distinguished chief guest of today's FTP program. He is our professor and well-wisher of our college, Mr. R. Vasu, BSc BTech, MS, MBA, PhD, currently pursuing in Six Sigma Master Black Belt. He is currently Vice President, Breaks India Center of Excellence. He has 36 years experience in product development and product design, quality assurance, new product introduction, guided and implemented 1,000 Six Sigma projects. He is member of Board of Studies, Faculty of Mechanical Engineering, Anna University, Chennai. He has presented various journals in national and international level. Sir, it's our honor to have you in this session. Now it's time for your session, sir. Thank you for your acceptance of our invite. Now it's time for your session to share your valuable knowledge with us, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Balasubramaniam, for the time for sharing my experience. I hope I am audible to all of you. My topic of presentation will be quality improvements in automotive industries from a Six Sigma perspective. Many people might be wondering what is Six Sigma to do with the material testing. Actually, because this when Mr. Professor Balasubramaniam asked me, I said Six Sigma has got a lot to do with the material. Because we have done a lot of projects in Six Sigma to save the material, very rare materials in our factory, which probably if time permits, I will show you a case study. Now I will move on to my presentation. Now today we are going to see the future trends in automotive industries and challenges it's facing today. Quality management system. What is meant by a quality management system and what is meant by quality as defined in various management gurus. And I'm going to just quickly touch upon, because the topic is quality improvements through Six Sigma perspective. So I will also quickly touch upon Lean and Six Sigma, which is a very hot subject today in manufacturing industries. And what are all the challenges in automotive industries with respect to the quality, and what is the Six Sigma what we are pursuing in our own organization. Now, if you look at the major automotive manufacturers, where the material consumption is very, very high, the bulk of the materials which is used in the manufacturing, you could say about 60 to 70% in the engineering industries goes into the automotive manufacturing. And here you could see many of the car segment. You have got Toyota, General Motors, Fiat, TRW, and so on and so forth. And in commercial vehicles, we have Tata Motors, Mahindra and Mahindra, Ashok Leyland, and so many players in the industry, in tractors and off-highway. To give you a quick idea of the various manufacturers in the industry. And looking at the future trends in automotive industries, how the future of auto industry is going to really look like, particularly with respect to the personal transportation. Now, with the advent of COVID-19, many people might switch over to the switch over to the personal transportation. And in those 1 minute, I got a call which I will mute and then. So the expectations of the individual owners will go up, and future is going to be safety is the most important thing. People will look at it, and tailor-made cars, intelligent maintenance, car owners and buyers want the latest technology in the vehicles, and safety will be the key. and people will talk about smart traffic environments, and then intelligent maintenance, and everybody will be looking at data. Data is going to be the key thing which is going to be ruling the entire car industry. And then cars will be connected through intelligent systems. Vehicle to vehicle communication will be the order of the day. And then smarter traffic management. Today Google has taken over. Nobody wants to wait in the traffic. And then there's going to be a lot of challenges for the automotive industry in terms of technology, where data is going to be the major focus with respect to the data analytics and data-based manufacturing techniques. Now, looking at the auto component industries and automobile industries, due to the demographic of the Indian population, India and China has got the major population in terms of buying power. So the focus is 62% approximately will be the trend of manufacturing with respect to the automobiles in the future days to come. And then because of the age group, whereas in US and Europe, the people are getting aged, whereas the younger population is going to be there more and more in India and China. So the market is going to be there in India. And with respect to the Indian automobile industries, the target is today we are contributing about 7% to GDP, and we are the largest tractor brake manufacturers in the world. And the three-wheeler production is the highest in India, and India has got the two-wheeler production, which is the second, and eighth commercial vehicle production. So looking at it, you find that there is a lots and lots of Indian auto industry is going to be challenged. Of course, there is a slight setback because of the COVID-19. And in the left, you could find a lot of automobile industries focusing on the southern, western, as well as the northern belt in terms of the manufacturing industry. Though in the east, we have Tata Motors, and then it's catching up. So mainly the south and the west and the north are primarily contributing to the automobile industry. And with this growth, the government of India has also come out with a policy called Vision 3-1265. That means India will be the top 3 manufacturing in automobile industries by 2026, and from 7% of the GDP, it is going to play a 12% of GDP. It is going to contribute, and the most important thing is we are planning to create additional 65 million jobs. That is the Vision 3-1265, which the government of India made in 2016-17. Considering the growth which has been projected in the overall industry. Now, for the key challenges to meet this growth, is a lot of regulatory requirements are coming. Development of talent and skills are going to be the challenge. Fast-tracking infrastructure development, incubating R&D and innovation, enhancing the supply chain competitiveness, and these are the key challenges which comes up with this growth. And how are we going to and then take these challenges forward? Government is also coming out with a lot of regulatory requirements with the latest norms of European norms of Euro 6 vehicles, and then developing talents and skills, which is the most important thing today, which I am going to focus, because that is going to drive the future. Either it is the teaching faculty or the student community. Digital India and Skill India are going to be the major focus in the days to come. Now, towards that only, the Industry 4, some speakers would have talked about Industry 4 in their earlier sessions also, or in their earlier webinars, wherein the Industry 4 is nothing together of coming together of the digital and the physical worlds, and digitization of the manufacturing process based on cyber physical systems. Now, these are the future challenges which the auto industry is facing today. And then, what is quality management to do with this? Because quality is very important. It is not only the quality what we do the inspection, it is quality is extending beyond in today's terminology of fitness for purpose. And I will also quickly touch upon what is meant by a process, what is meant by a system. Now, what is meant by quality? Simple terms, people will understand. what is wanted, and how do we achieve that, and how do we do it. And then here are some of the quality gurus' definition of quality. Professor Crosby tells conformance to requirements or specification. Fitness for use is Joseph Juran's definition. ISO definition is totality of characteristic of an entity that bears on its ability to meet the stated and implied needs, and the degree to which a set of inherent characteristics fulfills the requirement. So, looking at it, there is no single definition for the quality. Today, the quality is different for different people. A quality automobile may be the one which has no defects and reworks. Such a definition would fit into the definition of Professor Juran. Quality to conformance to specification. Here, because manufacturing normally people will say because manufacturing can do nothing to change the design. Maybe because designers give the quality levels and the manufacturers meet it. So this is some manufacturing's definition of quality. There are people who simply ignore the quality. They will say, I know quality when I see it. Seeing is believing. So some people say, I experience quality. And then some also say that I want a high quality product. So these perceptions vary from people to people. So to put it in a nutshell, we will call quality is meeting all the requirements that is stated and the implied needs, and sometimes exceeding the requirements as well. This I am telling because it is not only the product specification we are talking, it goes beyond that. Now, having talked about that, you should also quickly know what is meant by a process. A process is a set of activity. It's a value-added activity that converts an input material into the output product. It is not only input material, any input. Even the teaching what I do is an input for you. The process is teaching, the output is the knowledge what you gain. So a chain of interrelated processes is called a system. So inputs to process A becomes the input, output of process A becomes the input to process B, and vis-a-vis goes on and on and on. So it is never-ending process, like it is a closed loop mechanism. So here you could see that 4 M's, men, method, machine, material, convert in the manufacturing process, and then you get a bicycle, which is a product what we all see. Process here is process of manufacturing a cycle. The output is a product, bicycle. Now, having talked about a process, we should also know how to measure the process performance, how to measure the process performance. The process performance is normally measured in 2 terms. That is qualitative definition called effectiveness of a process, ability to achieve the desired results, and the quantitative definition, which is nothing but results achieved versus the resources used. So this is the quantitative definition. So effectiveness is more of a qualitative methods, and efficiency is more of a quantitative methods for measuring the output of any process. Systems approach, as I told you, input is converted into a product realization process, and then the output is the product which goes to the customer. Typically in an organizations, the top management is a support process, and the maintenance and other people are all the support process for any manufacturing process, where the input from the customer is given as a product to the end customer again. It is a closed loop mechanism. The order is obtained from the customer typically with the support of policy deployment, business planning and review, order obtaining, sales planning. These are all the process in manufacturing, production planning, production and testing, material receiving. So having said that, the material, what you do that has to be tested. So the production and testing comes in that way. And then packing and the final product is dispatched to the customer. The other support process are given below. So I started off with what is meant by quality, the definition of a quality, what is meant by a process, and how the process is measured, and how a system is important. So any large organizations, the quality management system plays a vital role in initiating any new development concepts for any organization, in a large organization particularly. And it is important in large organizations, and just touch upon how communication is so important in any organization. Now the customer comes and gives some money to the marketing gentleman that he wants us a truck to offload certain material, some sort of a temper sort of a thing. He gives the money. The marketing man goes to the manufacturing department and throws it to the design department. The design department gives it to the planning department, and the planning department gives it to the production department. If there is no, we are acting in silos, there is no interaction between them. The ultimate output, what he gets, the customer wanted a truck, but he is giving a small vehicle, which is not what the customer was looking for. So, having said that, in large organizations, the three things are very important. Muda is a waste in any organizations. There are different types of a Muda in an organizations, like in a lean manufacturing, we call Muda of overproduction, Muda of the stocks, Muda of the conveyance or the transport, Muda of waiting, Muda of the operation itself, Muda of movement of worker, Muda of production of inferior goods, Muda working under uncontrolled fluctuations, unevenness or balance, eliminating unevenness or irregularities. We call it as a variation. Muda is called as a variation or unevenness or balance. Muri means working in unnatural conditions, that is working under strain or a stress, that is called as a muri. In Japanese, they call it Muda, Mura and Muri. And this Muda, Mura and Muri becomes the fundamental of any lean manufacturing systems. We call it as a pull systems or a lean manufacturing systems. And lean manufacturing system is a systematic approach to identify and eliminate waste through continuous improvement by going through the product only when the customer needs it or in pursuit of perfection. So, having talked about lean, I will quickly touch upon what is Six Sigma, because I'm going to talk about Six Sigma perspective with respect to the automobile manufacturing department. It is a structured, disciplined, data-driven process focused on improving the business performance. It is a management philosophy. It is a statistical measure where focus is not on making mistakes, but it is making focus on analyzing the mistakes using a data and prevention of mistakes. Further, it also enables people power using the process power. So the most important thing is people and the process are the most important thing in any Six Sigma initiative, because it costs less to do it right first time, called as the drift. So some people may have a doubt, sir, the difference between Lean and Six Sigma. So the Lean Six Sigma is a fact-based, data-driven philosophy of improvement that values their defect prevention over defect detection. It drives for customer satisfaction, the bottom line results by reducing the variation, waste and cycle time, while promoting the use of work standardization and flow, thereby creating a competitive advantage. So it applies anywhere. Sir, how can I apply Six Sigma, sir? Some people might ask. Sir, wherever there is variation, you can use Six Sigma. Even in a house, you can use Six Sigma. And even in hospital industries, you can use Six Sigma. Even in educational institution, you can use Six Sigma. Wherever there is a waste and variation, you can apply Lean Six Sigma principles. Now, some doubts on Lean versus Six Sigma. Conventional thinking is Lean focuses more on waste and improvement, and Six Sigma focuses on reduction in process variation. Six Sigma believes that variation causes waste, whereas Lean believes waste causes variation. Lean believes flow problems causes variation. Six Sigma believes variation causes flow problem. So there is no conflict as you really put it. So anyway, that is the reason. Anyway, now people put it as Lean Six Sigma because Lean Six Sigma is nothing but reduction and of variation and waste in the entire supply chain. So this is what is reduction of variation. So I'm not going to go into the detail was a Lean and Six Sigma. There is one more slide on that. I'm not going to go into the detail. Now I am going to give you how in our own organization, at Breaks India, we are doing this Lean Six Sigma at Breaks India. Now we are a part of the $6 billion US dollars TVS groups of companies. Now our company is a joint venture with TVS and ZF Germany. We have got about 15 factories all around the country. Our philosophy is just in time or Kanban based on lean, safety stocks and proximity to customers, options for packaging and including reusable packaging for environmental conditions is our focus. So these are the various products which we manufacture. These are the various manufacturing locations we have. These are the customers who we are supplying. I'm just rushing because it may not be of so much of interest for this session. Now looking at it, you look at this. We have a full-fledged foundry, which is the biggest foundry in Asia. And we have the largest machining with turning, milling, name anything in material and manufacturing. We are tapping, rolling, cleaning, broaching, plastics, injection molding, deburring, metal forming, crimping, where everywhere material is involved. Rubber, we have our own rubber mixing plants, rubber manufacturing plants. We have transfer molding, compression, injection molding, then welding, other processes, so on and so forth. So name anything in material and manufacturing we have under the sky. Now our milestones, we are winning, our foundry is winning award company, Total Quality Management. We are a Lean Six Sigma company. We have the quality certificates. There are a lot of quality certificates in a company. Now I'll quickly take you through the conventional way of problem solving to quickly lay a foundation for you on Six Sigma. In the practical way of a problem solving, many of us, being in an industry, we always believe that we are the experts, we are the practical experts. Then we take the problem, use a 7QC tool or a AET report or a SPC and FMEA, go to the next problem. Now, in some cases, these are effective, but these can result in perceptions of firefighting and sometimes recurring problems. They are not very effective sometimes. So what is good on the Six Sigma approach? For any new approach, we have to implement 3 Ps. We will see what is the 3 Ps which are key to success of any organization. The process of any organization is important. The product is important. As I said, Six Sigma is people and process power. We have a good manual processes with semi-automatic, full automation. The product, very good license, technical collaboration. The product is global product. But the point is, our behavioral skills are okay, our technical skills are okay. When it came down to analytical skills, there is scope for improvement. This is where the Six Sigma comes into effect. The conventional, as many of you would have read in books, Six Sigma believes in 3 circles. 3 circles are very important. The methodology, namely in the Six Sigma we call as define, measure, analyze, improve and control. The 5 methods or the techniques are important. And the Six Sigma tools like correlation, regression, process variation, data-based tool, analytical tools are also important. And if you have a good methods, if you have good tools, if the top management support is not there, nothing can be more effective. So we thought we will go down from the conventional way of problem solving, earlier you saw, to the Six Sigma way of problem solving. Earlier in Six Sigma, in the non-Six Sigma way, you find we all basically believe in practical solution without going into the Six Sigma DMAIC methodology. In the define phase, we do the problem definition using data-based approach. That database is converted into a statistical problem. in the measure and analyze phase, and then we come out with a statistical solution in the analyze phase, and in the improve phase that we convert the statistical solution into a practical solution. And in the control phase, we do a control, which is very important once you made some improvements. Most of the problems are not, are coming back again. We are not controlling the problems. This is where the better way of doing a Six Sigma is helping us in terms of statistical problem to a practical problem. This is where the people power. That is why we started the programs on yellow belt, green belt, and black belt, and then make the projects successful. We started the journey way back in 2007. With some of my colleagues, went through some courses on Six Sigma in the year 2007. We always believe doing it ourselves is the best way rather than taking a consultant. In a small way, we adopted a pilot plant and then made all the supervisors into a green belt with our own training. We did the training ourselves. Whatever we have learned, ours is a very unique approach, and we replicate it in other sites. And then I can very firmly say that the top management commitment in every presentation, whatever we have made, we could see a lot of benefits to our organization in the last so many years. Today we have 350 green belts. So in this 350 green belts, the uniqueness is everybody has to do a project. 50% weightage is given for the theoretical sessions and 50% weightage is for the practical sessions. Only if one completes both theory and practical and then does at least one project worth 1 lakh rupees, then he will be given a certificate. And the managing director of the company comes and gives the certificate by himself, so that the employee is motivated. Even the vice presidents are trained, even all the supervisors are trained, so that the culture is bringing in the organization. So the deployment strategy is, we have the cited who are the champions and the master black belts. I am a master black belt, and then we train the black belts. No external consultation. Everything we make the projects. The frontline supervisors, we train them to yellow belts, and then we have a clear-cut roadmap for the organizations. So we started in a small way, like a small seed has grown into a forest, and then we don't invest in a bad soil. We have invested in a good soil, not with bad seed, but with a good seed. So we have also internally institutionalized the entire process in line with the American Society of Quality, with the ASQ, and then CII Institute of Quality for the green belt programs, and the black belt programs. We have the American Society of Quality. So all these things are very much standardized, and we have, as I told you, 50% weightage for the projects and 50% weightage for the projects. So only when you feel on complete a project, you get elated, and then you really, and getting a certificate from the managing director is definitely a motivation. So the benefits are, we could do a lot of projects with cost focus, mainly on the OE improvement, throughput improvement, reliability improvements, supply chain optimization, and some of the projects are quality improvement projects, lead time reduction projects, responsiveness, customer experience, and we nowadays energy and effluent treatment, safety, health and environment, accidents, safety improvements. We have done projects on these areas as well. So the tangible benefits, what we could get out of it is, we could do a lot of projects covering the foundries, friction, rubber, a lot of material-based projects are also being done. And then this is the pie chart of that project, what we have done. The most important thing is, it is not that somebody does a project and then goes off. It is also factored into a balance sheet. Each project is certified by the finance man, and it is approved, and it has also resulted in a lot of cost savings. We have done about 1,000 projects, and we could have saved, including our suppliers, we could have saved about 40 to 50 crores of Indian money. Now, apart from that, we won the best Six Sigma award in the entire nation in 2009, and runners up in 2014. And then we have started, we said we should not talk only with the manufacturing process. We also went to the design for Six Sigma, where we are a design responsible company having our own R&D center with 300 engineers. So we took the R&D also into consideration, and then we trained the people for design for Six Sigma. That is design for Six Sigma called the DFSS approach. So we started the DFSS journey in 2015. Like we do a lot of tolerancing, a lot of quality function deployments, reliability studies, and then we are also the best Six Sigma company for the Indian Statistical Institute competition in 2016 for the design for Six Sigma. Where you could see that we are winning some awards from there. So we are now the future roadmap is now we are started training even the operator level. We are doing that. We have already started with the supplier partners. We have implemented the training and knowledge to the suppliers as well. So we conducted the workshops for the suppliers, sharing our knowledge. We also train them to know what are the benefits and this thing. So this is something which I wanted to briefly talk about. What are the benefits which, as an organization, which you are able to get out of the Six Sigma? What we could really see. I will have. I hope I have time, Professor Balasubramaniam. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You have time, sir.
So
up to 5:15 you can.
Okay. So I have some two case studies which I wanted to show. One on a material, how we could save some material using the Six Sigma, the rare material, which we did it in one of the foundry, so that it will be useful to the material specialists who are attending the program. And then another in a non-manufacturing, how we have reduced the absenteeism with a case study. I will take you through that presentation now.
Yes, sir.
Hope you are able to see the screen.
Yes, sir.
This is the Brakes India division, foundry division with the screen. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The project what we did was optimization of manganese and copper content in spheroidal graphite iron. You know, spheroidal graphite iron is we are the largest manufacturers of foundry castings in Asia. We use high manganese steel in the charge, and to copper, as you know, is a very costly metal. So for this copper, we wanted to reduce the copper content. So we start. So we have our objective is to reduce the copper content and also balance the manganese by increasing the manganese. So the responses, as you know, many of the material people, you know, as a copper, as a responses is what in Six Sigma is the quality responses we talk for any casting. You know, the Brinell hardness, the tensile strength, the pearlite content. All HEIM castings will have a pearlite, as you know, and the micro hardness is also important. So there are 4 responses for this project. So here you could see this is the microstructure checks which we are doing. You know, this is called as an engine bracket, which we are exporting to one of our customers, Japanese customers. Here you could see the cross section. So this is the typical foundry casting. Raw material is transferred, and charging and melting in the furnace is taking place. The chemistry adjustments is taking, and then transfer to the holding furnace, and magnesium treatment is done. Transfer to the pouring vessel, then pouring, and then cooling, and then knockout of castings from mold, so that then it is all out for testing. So this is the thing. The actual project is done at the charging and melting, wherein the addition of manganese and this copper is taking place. Our objective of the program is to reduce the copper content and increase the manganese content. So these are all the testing what we do: hardness testing, tensile testing, and microstructure testing, and then crack ultrasonic testing, and then dye penetration testing, blah blah. So this is the microstructure. These are the specifications what we have. Now I wanted to tell you what is the Six Sigma, how we can do that. So in Six Sigma, there is a tool called full factorial experiments, wherein we wanted to, our objective is to increase the manganese content and reduce the copper content, which we did using a full factorial. In the full factorial, here you could see, we try to do some sort of an optimal setting to find out, we do what is known as a D by D ratio. This is the technique called the Shinen DOE technique, which is a very powerful technique in manufacturing industries. What we do is we try to find out what is the setting of D by D ratio. The D by D ratio is calculated for all the 4 responses, that is the brittle hardness. The minus setting is the setting, the current setting, and the positive setting is the projected setting to increase the copper, to reduce the copper content and increase the manganese setting. Now we go on reducing the copper and increasing the manganese till we get a D by D ratio which is greater than 1.25. The moment we get a D by D ratio 1.25, we call that the stage 0 has been reached. Here you could find that we could get a D by D ratio greater than 2. And then we are now setting the minus setting and the plus setting, doing a factorial experimentation using statistical techniques. We do a factorial design. Then this is the order. Then we find out what is the major contributor and what are all the, for all the 4 responses. Here you could see we have done the D by D ratio for all the 4 responses. The Pareto analysis for the main effects, that is the copper is the manganese contribution, copper contribution, etc., so on and so forth. And we could arrive at the mathematical equation of what amount of copper should be added and what amount of the manganese should be added, so that the quality parameter, this is the green zone which we could operate, and then we have selected, finalized the, based on the experimentation, we have finalized from the current level of copper from 0.43 to 0.45, from the 0.48 to 0.49, we made it to better condition, that is 0.43 to 0.45, and also increased the manganese content from 0.2 to 0.25 to 0.3 to 0.35 without keeping all the 4 responses and also doing a validation. There is a test called B versus C in Six Sigma Shinen DOE, where we are not compromising on the quality front. Then after that, we do the control exercise and ensure that the quality requirements are being met. Because of this, we could save about 2 lakh of rupees because of this one single project, and we could really extend it to the other part numbers as well. This is a typical Six Sigma projects which you can do in material optimization wherever there are multiple materials, costly materials in any manufacturing industries, and so that what is the optimal material which you can choose for ensuring that the quality, end quality requirements are being met in a typical foundry. This you can extend it to your castings, we have done a lot of projects on rubber, injection molding, and so on and so forth, welding. So as I told you earlier. So this is a typical project case study which I presented for a foundry industry. Now the other important thing which I wanted to tell you is another case study which I wanted to tell, as I told you, is this can also be used in the non-manufacturing industry. Non-manufacturing or in non-manufacturing area, which we tried in one of the manufacturing industries in our dedicated suppliers called ABI Showa. In the ABI Showa, we are having a problem of high absenteeism in one of the factories. Now, the number of absenteeism on particular cell was very high. We didn't know what to do. So one of the participants came out with a project when he entered into the course. Now we said we can solve this problem using a Six Sigma approach. How to solve this problem using a Six Sigma approach is the question. Now, for any project we do what is known as DMAIC, DMAIC approach. We do the project planning before the project is getting done. In the define phase, we say what is the problem definition, problem statement, what is the data, what is the process mapping, and then in the measure phase, we do define the responses, a listing of the variations, the suspected source of variations. The analyze phase, we analyze the data. Improve phase, we validate the root causes, then quantify the improvement. And in the control phase, we ensure that the project is under control after some time. Even sometimes most of the industries face once the project is over, after the problem comes back. So we should have put the sufficient controls that the controls are effective. So we had a problem, as I told you, that the project started, we had an absenteeism of 7.4%. We wanted to reduce to 5.92%. That is at least 1.2%. That was as per the industry, the local targets which they had. So this was the problem in the definition phase. This is the objective before the start of the project. Now this is critical to cost as well, because any absenteeism will cost the company, and it is also critical to satisfaction of the employee. Then we move on to the measure phase. The why is called the response. Here, the response is not a manufacturing problem. The response here is a non-manufacturing problem where the absenteeism are high. So we have the average absenteeism for 6 months data, or 3 or 4 months data, they have taken about 7.4% average data they have taken in one particular cell. Here you could see it has went as high as 9.1% in the month of September. Now we analyze the data into 2 types: authorized absence and unauthorized absence. Now, authorized absence are leave granted or a medical absence. Unauthorized absence could be because of so many reasons which we analyzed. So this is known as a SIPOC. In Six Sigma, we call it as a SIPOC, namely supplier, input, process, output, customer, and customer requirements. Here, the supplier is walk-in employee, the employee is a supplier here, potential trainees are the inputs, process is provide adequate manpower to the shop floor, output is the skilled trainees. For any Six Sigma problem, we have to draw the SIPOC, identify what is the process SIPOC, and then who is the customer. Then we measure. Measurement is through data. In Six Sigma, as I told you earlier also, we identify what are all the typical suspected sources of variation. Any absenteeism could be due to illness in the family or self-illness, some family problem, accidents inside and outside, supervisor harassments, transportation, training period break, misconduct, local festivals, co-worker family functions, alternate job in specific occasions, rainy seasons, poor work conditions, night shift, sowing and harvesting, because it is in the remote village, it is in an area in Sholimur, poor physical fitness, boredom on the job, arrears on examinations of diplomas, review mechanisms are not good. So we identified what are all the possible causes, and these are termed as suspected source of variations in the Six Sigma language. This is known as a fishbone diagram. We did the fishbone diagram to identify what causes these high absenteeism in the cell. Now, we ranked them into 3 categories, into red, yellow, and green, or low, high, and medium, and then identify the ones which are controllable. For example, rainy seasons you cannot control, so hence we call it as an uncontrollable cause. Night shift you cannot control, you call it as an uncontrollable cause. Sowing and harvesting period you cannot control. So what is controllable is one we have to take, and also based on the past data, you also say which is low, high, and medium. So we took up certain reasons for absenteeism was not properly reviewed. So the first thing what we did is start the review mechanism. What are all the reasons for absence and identified as high. And also, the poor working conditions could also be the cause for absenteeism. So, we identified 2 highs for immediate attention by the organization. So, poor working condition and review mechanism are the 2 things which we started off, and then we call it as X factors. We are called as independent factors or X factors in Six Sigma language, and they call it X1 and X2. And then we come across what is known as a concentration chart to find out. Now we took a data of about 250 personnel trainees record, and we gave 50 questionnaires to the trainees, and we did analyze the 200 trainees data. Six Sigma is all about data analytics. So we collected the data of all the 200 people. It's a pain, but no pain, no gain. So you will have to go through the data, then analyze the data, week-wise, month-wise, distance-wise. So these are the data collection techniques, what we did. And then we started the analysis. We also analyzed, analysis the region. Some people are coming from Arakonam for the Sholimur factory. Some people are coming from Valaja. Some people are coming for Vellur, and some people are locals. And here you could find that Vellur and Valaja, the absenteeism was more. Then we did an analysis of day-wise analysis, whether the absenteeism was on the Saturdays or Mondays. As usual, so Saturdays and Mondays, we found that the absenteeism were quite high. And the shift-wise also we analyzed, and we found that the first shift, the morning shift, that the absenteeism was more. Then we also analyzed mission-wise to improve the working condition. We also analyzed the shift-wise, the mission-wise. We found that MD13 is a particular cell where there are vigil machines, the CNC machines, Doosan, and centrifugal machines. So, having collected so much of the data in the analyze phase, we also did Doosan machine and Gemini machines were contributing to more for the absenteeism. So, we consolidated all these things and then did an analysis and said day-wise and shift-wise we cannot control, whereas we can control the region-wise and mission-wise controls can be done. So we did a YY analysis of the review mechanism. We started the review mechanism and poor working conditions for the process. We started the review on a daily aspects. We wanted to do a poor working conditions, so we started up an industrial engineering activity called ergonomic study to find out whether there is a possibility of improving the working condition in Gemini, Doosan, and the inspection facilities. Then this is before and after condition. Then we did improve the review mechanism. Then here you could find the Gemini machines. We did the operator-wise activity, industrial engineering activity. We found that bird cleaning, they had a problem in Gemini machines. So what we did was in the checking also, the board checking, we had a problem. So operator has to clean the burr for every 2 hours by hand. So he had ergonomic issues. We had a proposal to install a burr extractor. So we started putting in place a burr extractor for that area and targeted at target period was set. Then in the Doosan machine, the output was very 1,312 per shift, and the pallet has 8 components, and the cycle time was also 136 seconds. So we wanted to debottleneck the thing. So what we did is, they are done by 2 trainees. We suggest to interchange. We wanted to interchange their activities for every 4 hours. That is once in half a shift. So and find out. So the deburring activity was shared between 2 operators. Then deburring. We also had a robotics in place to do the deburring operations, so that the improved working condition can also improve. So there are also some order issues. So we also changed the oil in that area. So this has resulted, these improvements has really helped us to reduce the absenteeism to a very large extent. From 7%, it came down to 5.2%. Now, having done that, we put controls in place, like we also started giving birthday chocolates, birthday gifts, absenteeism reviews, and so on. Some personal HR improvements took place. So focus on workplace ergonomics. So our productivity was very much improved. So we had a productivity because of this. Morale is also improved, and the delivery is also improved. Our cycle times have improved. So these are the entire. So this type of a tools which here you got the daily review mechanisms were very much improved, and these are some of the workplace improvements which we have really uh, done. So these are something which I wanted to share with you in the limited time. Hope I have given you a broad idea. Of course, Six Sigma, you need to enroll yourself in a course like Six Sigma Green Belt or a Black Belt programs to get yourself knowledge on these techniques to reduce variations and waste in the entire supply chain. With that, I will hand the session over to the organizers, and then I am prepared to take on the questions.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your knowledge on quality management system in manufacturing industry. The presentation of the case study on application of Six Sigma to material optimization in manufacturing industry was informative and interesting. Thank you, sir. I hope all the participants would explore this area in future. There are a few questions
Yes,
in the
sir.
chat box.
Yes, sir.
One question is from Sham. How does the emerging trends changes the automotive industry?
Yeah, the emerging trends, as you could see, many people are going to move to electrics in future. So electric charging stations are going to come. As I told you, even in the future of automobile industries, it is more of a digitization. People are going to work at home, and people are going to go for personal transportation. So the trend is going to change. Even the industries is just we are going through definite transition. Even the industry is just saying, wow, after the COVID, how the industry is going to turn. It's anybody's guess because we don't know how the things are going. But automotive industries are there to stay because they're particularly in India and China, where the younger population are going to go for most modern cars with advent of intelligent systems and Industry 4. It is going to be more of electromechanical devices. Automotive is no longer going to be a manufacturing. It is going to be a manufacturing come electronics and electrical. So that is going to be the future of auto industries.
Thank you, sir. The next question is from Mr. Madhan Pillai. Whether any study conducted for improving OEE?
Yeah, we have done about more than 200 projects on improving the overall equipment effectiveness, because any OEE is based on the rolled throughput time in any manufacturing cell. So the overall equipment effectiveness is nothing but the takt time of the cell. So the takt time of the cell is primarily to identify the bottleneck machines in the cell, and then all our Six Sigma will focus on the manufacturing operations. What is the lead time for the particular machine, and try to debottleneck in the particular cell, like reducing the cycle time or putting an extra machine in the particular cell.
Hope all the participants got their questions answered. With this discussion, we conclude today's session. Once again, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you all for your patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for today's your presence with us, and it is quite useful. And the people who doesn't know about Six Sigma, they can very easily understand, and they are able to analyze of their own. And it is a quite useful session, what we felt. And we request you to come quite often and then give your valuable information regarding education. Any Six Sigma is able to help. That also you can study on that thing. If it is possible, you can share your experience or your.
Sure. Definitely.
So
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
We sincerely thank our management and our secretary, Madam Dr. K.S. Babai, for giving us this opportunity to host this program 5 days online faculty development program. Hope all the participants would have benefited through this program.